on power, works, housing, agriculture, and transportation. So that did not sit down well with the PDP. And because they, remember a few weeks ago, they tendered an apology to Nigerians because the elections are forthcoming and they are hoping that they will find a way back into the hearts of Nigerians. So such statements by the government did not sit down well with them. So they decided to dare the APC that if you are so sure of what you are saying, then tell Nigerians if you are so sure. And the APC also, because, I mean, it's a game and it's politics, they decided to put out a list also of looters.
So you think it's just a game?
It's a game for the parties, but for Nigerians, I would like Nigerians to see it as a first step in getting, how will I say it?
What
justice
okay.
from those who have stolen. And if you check...
Allegedly.
But if you check through the lists, you will see that some of the names there are already having their time in court. So allegedly, yes, but some of them are already facing time in court, while some are not yet facing. And for some that are already in court, some funds have been returned. Some forfeitures have been made. You get. So I would like for Nigerians to advocate for a proper judgment for these looters. I would not want Nigerians to be lost in the old game of the politics. I would like Nigerians to monitor that list and ensure that and advocate that this will get their times in courts. And if they are found guilty, then they face the judgments.
Well, I'll come back to you again in just a bit. But let me come to you. I mean, you heard Tosin talk about what he feels of the list. He talked about those who are already in court, who some money is returned, some forfeitures made, but he also believes at the same time that it is just some kind of game that has been played, especially looking at the fact that 2019 elections is just around the corner. But what is your own take on this? Do you think it's a game? Do you think it is a step in the right direction, you know, in trying to get for Nigerians justice, as Tosin has said?
I think it's absolute nonsense. It is a show of a high level of unseriousness on the part of the government. Let me tell you, if they want to be serious with Nigerians, we are in a democracy. You cannot say that somebody is a thief unless pronounced so by the court of competent jurisdiction. If we go by those who have been alleged to have stolen, then Buhari's name should be the first there. He was alleged to have stolen 2-something billion naira in 1976. He was alleged to have stolen a lot of money when he was in charge of PTDF. What of Amechi? What of Fashola, Fayemi, Magu, Burutai, Baru, and the Babacha Lawa that they was alleged to have used 270 million naira made for the IDP to go and cut grass. So as far as I'm concerned, it is just a show of shame by the ruling party. I feel that after watching that list and all the commentaries, I feel we are just lapsing into a kakistocratic form of government. There is nothing good about the list. Where we want to see the list is in the court. And after the court processes have been exhausted, we want to either see them acquitted or condemned. We don't want all these political games. It is enough. We have been
you know, the list says, you know, that it's a list of those who allegedly, again, you know, looted the treasury during the past administration, you know, the PDP rule, that's 16 years of the PDP rule.
Yes, Amechi was there in the last administration. Fashola was there in the last administration. Fayemi was there in the last administration. Brutai was accused for what he did in the last administration. So it's not about only PDP. there are members of APC that were in PDP. So why didn't they mention their names? And why are they limiting the probe on last administration? Corruption started in Nigeria as early as 1960s. So what are we? This is. Let me tell you, Victor. We should start taking leadership seriously in Nigeria. Nigeria is not about PDP and APC. Of course, you know that less than 20% of Nigerians voted in the last election. And we know that the card-carrying members of PDP and APC do not make up to 10% of Nigeria.
All
so
right,
they should
just
stop
hold it for a bit.
playing games with us.
Just hold it up for a bit. But let me just come back to. He believes the list should have been longer.
Well, it should have been longer, because if we look back, we'll notice that Nigeria is where it is at this moment, all because we have not been doing what we're supposed to do right from inception, building our country, infrastructure, investing in people. We've not been doing that. And he has a point saying that it should have been from, let's say, 1960. But then, as a Nigerian, anywhere they choose to start from, if they choose to start from last year, I'm fine, because I've lived long enough and I've seen that most of these people do not end up in jail. Most of these people steal this money and they go. So if they choose to start from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I do not have a problem. I just want for these people to have their time in court, and if they are guilty, they get their judgments.
All right, so there's also been comments, by some Nigerians. I mean, Reverend Father Kuka was also speaking about it, where he said that it was just a diversionary, measure. I don't know what from, but I don't know if you share that sentiment.
Well, I don't know. Diversion from what? I don't understand. Like this, the issue of stealing and corruption in Nigeria is like the major issue that has been wrong with this country. So if there is a list of alleged culprits, then fine. I'm fine with that. But I just want Nigerians not to get lost in the whole, why is this person not there? Why is that person not there? Nigerians should be all about everybody will get his or her time. Fine. These people are on the list now. If another government comes, let's say in 2019, then we can be sure that they will look into the affairs of these governments. So,
and also release a list.
Fine. Also release a list. But then we shouldn't be just about that list. We should ensure that from the list, they have their time in court, which is very important. Have their time in court and get judgments if they are guilty.
All right. Let me again come back to you. Talking about the courts, like we have already two of the people who were on that list or who are on that list. They've already gone to courts to challenge, their names being published. They say it is not true, and they have gone to court to seek redress. Do you think they will eventually, come out victorious?
No, I don't really know. I don't want to preempt what the courts will do. I'm not a legal practitioner or a professional. The only thing I'm talking from common sense and what should be done. There is no need for releasing those lists. We don't need the list. Every Nigerian that has seen those lists know the people who have messed us up. So we don't need the list. What we need, like he said, is people to go to the court, take them to the court, investigate them, and make judgment, a conclusive judgment. All these things are just political games. Why are they bringing out the list? Who is asking for it? We know the looters. If they want us to tell them, let them tell the masses, tell us those who have taken your money, and we will give them a long list that they will not exhaust before the election. So as far as going to court, challenging the people's names on the list and all those things, they're wasting their time. That is not what Nigerians want.
All right, so Tosin, let me come back to you. So, speaking of the courts, I mean, sometime last year, the Attorney General of the Federation, he said that the list wasn't released because, even after people were kept, talking about, oh, who are those looters, release the list and all of that. He was like, oh, we need to sort this thing out legally before we even publish any list of anyone, any certain list of number of people. But here we are now. I mean, like you said, just a few of them have been to court, have returned money, have forfeited, some of the assets that So now, for those who were not already in court, I mean, who were never in court, but then their names came up in this list, I mean, do you think they have a case to go to court, like some have done already?
Yeah, they do have a case. Like, everybody has a right to a challenge whatever they feel it's an indictment on their person. So going to court is not a problem. It's their right. Yeah, sure.
All right, just hold your thought for a second. I will take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Please stay with us. All right, 2. Okay.
We're doing great.
Okay.
Just one thing. I want you to stay away from him a bit.
Okay.
Just a bit. Just
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, what the producer was trying to tell you, when Victor is looking at the virtual,
Yeah,
so
okay.
you just watch what's going on.
The screen. Okay, I don't look there. Just watch. Okay.
All right. All right, and 2, 3, 4, and 1. Thank you for staying with us. We're still having with us in the studio Tosin Adeda, publisher, Tosin Adeda Media, as well as Bede Chukwuekeze, who joins us from Hartfield in London. So let's look at the way forward now. I mean, we've talked about legal issues, if even the list in the first place is even, relevant to the scheme of things. But then moving forward, I know you've talked about how you want Nigerians to be the winners at the end, of everything. I mean, so how do we begin to move forward? Because if you ask me, I think we don't have the system to put all of this in place. But I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, I kind of agree with you, and I think it's high time that we started to put systems in place to ensure that some of these things don't even happen in the first place, because that's like the best way to check it, and because it's time wasting. It's time wasting to begin to charge a long list of people, and this is not just everybody involved in the looting. Like, we have hundreds of names if we had to check back from 1960. So it's high time we put
including dead people,
and there are some that we don't even know yet. There are some that they've stolen the money and they are gone. So it's high time the government puts checks in place to ensure that people cannot steal on such a large scale anymore.
Well, let's wait and see how that will play out. But Bede, let me also come to you. I mean, in the country where you live, which is the United Kingdom, we've seen people resign as a result of being accused of misappropriating as little as £25. But I mean, which just tells you that the system is bigger than the people. I mean, but how soon do you think we can have that kind of a system in Nigeria to even checkmate, first and foremost, little pinches here and there, let alone and before we get to the huge ones as is being alleged at the moment?
I think we have a long way to go, but all hopes are not lost. As we continue to progress in our democracy and civilization, we are going to get there eventually, because there was a time every other country was like Nigeria. But what Nigerians need to do is that we need to just calm down and stop all this fire brigade approach to things. We need to be more considered and methodic in whatever we are doing. Like, for instance, if you want corruption to come down, we should stop focusing on corrupt people, but we focus on our institutions. The institutions are the things that give them the leeway to steal money. Like the issue of TSA, BVN, all those things, they have all improved our security, monetary security in one way or the other. That is what I had wanted Buhari to do in this era, because this era is not the era of in the 80s, where you can just.
Is the president not doing that, Bede?
I don't think he's doing that, because if he's doing that, his party should not be meddling into what EFCC and ICPC should be doing. ICPC and EFCC should be seen to be very independent of the party. But now you see the party meddling with what other agencies that should be independent should be doing. And with that, you see that
sorry, B, do you have proof? Do you have any example of such?
If the party can bring out the name of looters, which means they are privy to all the information with the EFCC, which they should not be. Because EFCC, when you are doing investigations, even when it comes to the level of data protection, there are some information that people that don't work in the agency should not have. But if they can have those data, then you know that there is a collusion in some way. So what I want Nigerians to advocate is stop this issue of a strong person. Let us have a strong country. Let us have a strong constitution. Let us have strong institutions. When these institutions are strong, like in UK here, when you do nonsense, the institution will deal with you, because the institution is very, very, very strong. But in Nigeria, institutions are dependent on the whims of who is the president. That is why.
I mean, I have to hold it here. We're running out of time, unfortunately, but thank you very much again for joining us on the program today. You joined us from Hartfield in London, the United Kingdom. But Tosin, just to wrap it up, I mean, Bede is saying that, the institutions are not strong and they have to be stronger than the individuals. Again, what is your projection, of course, in wrapping up? How soon do you think we will get to this desired state in the affairs of this country?
I don't know how long it will take, but I know that from where we are coming from, we are making headway and we are moving in the right direction. Like you mentioned, to put institutions in place, and most importantly, like the government should not always have to interfere. You understand, and I believe that it's just a matter of time. If we keep moving in this line of direction, we will get and achieve our desired results. And also, I would like for the people to always follow the right things. Don't get entangled in all the political games. Get the governance part of it, and always advocate for what is going to benefit us as a people and as a country.
Thank you very much, Tosin Adeda, CEO Tosin Adeda Media. Thanks for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
I'll be back with the movie videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. Don't go away.